shock collars around citizens' necks, cracked walls rebuilt with mismatched mortar, mutant citizens swarming through narrow corridors like insects through a hive. You probably remember Lemongrab for his screaming and the drama he causes, but the real story of Lemongrab is built into the walls, hidden in the props, carved into the architecture itself. By reading the background design of Castle Lemongrab across every episode it appears in, we can reconstruct the tragic system hidden within, and watch in real time as a castle transforms from a structure meant for one lonely person into a living prison designed to break everyone inside it. Once you see it, you can't unsee what Lemongrab's kingdom really is. The first time we meet Lemongrab is when PB is de-aged to 13 thanks to the Lich. There we get a feeling what his style of ruling will be like, as he doesn't just arrive at the Candy Kingdom to claim the throne, he immediately starts building his system. When Peppermint Butler makes a joke about pranks, Lemongrab's response is harsh. Like really, really harsh.
12 years dungeon, all of you, dungeon, 7 years, no trials.
No trials, no justice. He's announcing that in his world, punishment doesn't require proof or process, it just requires his displeasure. He is the king. This is the first glimpse of Lemongrab's philosophy. Correction, or punishment, takes priority over everything else. What makes this scene so important is understanding what Castle Lemongrab will become from this. He's not in his own castle just yet, but he's already speaking as if the infrastructure of punishment exists, ready and waiting for the first person to jump right in. Because in his mind, it already does exist. The punishment comes first. The architecture and the system to support it follows. Now we actually enter Castle Lemongrab in You Made Me. And from the outside, it looks normal enough. Stone walls, guard towers, bridges leading to the entrance, the typical medieval castle layout. Inside, there's a statue commemorating Lemongrab, a throne, standard ruler stuff. And then there's the Reconditioning chamber, which will be important in a second. This episode reveals why Lemongrab wanted subjects in the first place. He's been sneaking into the Candy Kingdom at night, standing in candy people's bedrooms, watching them sleep. When Princess Bubblegum asks why, Lemongrab tells her,
The Earl of Nothing! Castle Lemongrab has no citizens! You have excess candies! You must donate! Donate!
He's desperately lonely. He wants citizens. But before giving him anyone, Princess Bubblegum demonstrates how to be gentle with candy people, showing him how to cuddle Crunchy, a candy child. Lemongrab attempts it, but becomes so uncomfortable he screams, then assaults the baby and throws him on the ground in terror. Just like me. Kidding. It ends with PB giving him 3 subjects, the Pup Gang, 3 criminals who have been causing trouble in the Candy Kingdom. Lemongrab treats them exactly like you'd expect. The Pup Gang disobey minor instructions, so Lemongrab takes them to his Reconditioning chamber. This chamber is a dedicated room specifically built for electrical torture. There's even a soap dispenser on the wall because Lemongrab can't stand a mess even in his torture room. And watch Lemongrab's face when he pulls the shock lever. He loves it. But there's something else in this castle that reveals even more about Lemongrab's twisted psychology. As Finn and Jake search the castle, they open door after door and find a lot of rooms that contain nothing but a single catcher's mitt on a pedestal. Multiple rooms, just catcher's mitts. The show never really explains what these mean, but the storyboard artist later revealed that they represent Lemongrab's miserable, repeated failed attempts at understanding normality and the mundane. He knows normal people do things like play catch, and he sets up the mitt, and he waits, and nobody ever comes. So he leaves it on a pedestal in the middle of the room as kind of an idol, to represent, to worship this idea of normality. Walk through Castle Lemongrab at this point in the story and try to find spaces designed for normality though, like comfort, education, or community, and they don't exist, they're not there. He doesn't have what other people consider to be normal parts of a healthy life. There are monuments to Lemongrab himself, but none of this is normal, none of this creates healthy interactions. These are all just shrines to loneliness. The castle reveals a mind that thinks that governing just means controlling at its utmost, and controlling means the capacity to inflict pain and to tell other people what you want them to do. At the end of the episode, Princess Bubblegum creates Lemongrab 2, an identical clone, so Lemongrab wouldn't have to be alone anymore. And the two Lemongrabs instantly bond. They release the pup gang, wave goodbye to Princess Bubblegum, genuinely happy together for the first time. The episode ends on something that almost looks like hope. But that reconditioning chamber is still there. Those cells are still there. The building, everything inside, the infrastructure of punishment remains, just waiting. The next time we hear about them, Princess Bubblegum receives a message from Castle Lemongrab. The Lemongrabs are out of food and demand that she sends them all of hers. This makes no sense. She left them with enough candy to last a lifetime. But she obliges and sends Finn and Jake on their way with candy seeds to grow more food. But when they arrive, they discovered what really happened. The Lemongrabs found Princess Bubblegum's candy life formula, the same formula that she used to create them, and instead of rationing their food supply, they used every last piece of candy to create citizens, to create their underlings. The results swarmed through the castle corridors. Distorted lemon creatures with snail-like features, spider-like bodies, snake-like appendages. Some have multiple heads, some have barely formed faces. They move in packs, crawling over each other like insects through a hive. And they're all conscious and starving. The moment Finn and Jake enter, the lemon people try to eat them, simply because they're just too hungry. The Lemongrabs diverted every resource into making more people, but created a population that they can't sustain. They were so interested in the process of creating life, in creating the system of control, that they didn't actually make it sustainable. The more citizens Lemongrab creates, the more helpless they become. They can't feed themselves, they can't really think for themselves, they were just born. They can't survive without him. Jake tricks them all by pretending to throw a fake cake, and the heroes escape deeper into the castle where they encounter true horror. There's a giant being in the castle called Lemon John. Just his face takes up an entire wall, a giant rectangular lemon head with two noses built into the castle's structure itself like a grotesque gargoyle. He tells them that the Lemongrabs locked themselves into the dungeon 3 weeks ago, so Finn and Jake descend to find them. Now, the castle used to have hallways and doorways for moving room to room, but now things seem a bit different. Finn and Jake have to squeeze through broken holes in walls to get anywhere. The episode explicitly calls these the innards of the castle. Digestive passages, veins. These are basically the innards of Lemon John. They open door after door searching for the Lemongrabs as the environment seems to have shifted around them. Behind the first door, there's a gigantic heart, motionless, with yellow liquid dripping from pipes above it into a grate below. That's probably Lemon John's heart. Behind another door, enormous lungs, swelling and writhing. Behind another, massive kidneys. The castle has become an entire living entity itself. The environmental storytelling tells us that Lemongrab has merged his kingdom with a biological system. It has a digestive system, it has a heart, it has lungs. The whole body is designed to break things down, to absorb what's useful, and to trap everything else in the body until it decides what to do with it. And they might be germs, you never know. When Finn and Jake finally find the Lemongrabs in a dungeon cell, they're skeletal. They've been hiding from their own starving children, locked in with the last scraps of food, eating just enough to survive while their creations waste away outside. The Lemongrabs explain what happened to Finn and Jake.
For once we had commenced, how could we desist? I looked deep in myself and found that I'm a guy who can't stop making candy life from the food he needs.
They couldn't stop. They were addicted to it. Even when their children were starving, even when they ran out of food. When Finn and Jake brought them candy seeds meant to grow more food, the Lemongrabs just immediately used them to create another child. And then they blame Finn and Jake for bringing them the seeds in the first place.
We warned you about us!
They're responsible for their own choices, aren't they? There's a twisted logic to their claim. It's your fault that you brought us this. You knew we were going to do this. How dare you bring us our drug? We were going to become more addicted to it. They did say that they couldn't stop. Princess Bubblegum did create them with these compulsions. I guess the Lemongrabs are just trapped by their own nature, and now their children are trapped by the Lemongrabs' inability to care for them properly. It's a cycle that repeats itself. And now the Lemongrabs' solution to their problem? Send Lemon John to attack the Candy Kingdom, steal all the candy, and then create an army of lemon people, and then steal all the candy in the world. Just continued expansion, war, and taking from others. Lemon John stands up, the castle riding along with his body. Finn and Jake dangle from him as he marches towards the Candy Kingdom. And then Finn remembers the heart, the motionless heart that they saw in that room. They find the vent on the exterior wall leaking juice from Lemon John's heart, crawl inside, and punch it. And the heart begins to beat. And Lemon John experiences emotion for the first time.
The juice aches. Is this the rumored ache of feeling? The feeling of caring unknown to lemons?
He understands what his creators never could. That caring means sacrifice. That love means protecting others even at your own expense, not the other way around. Lemon John decides to sacrifice himself and dissolves into a mountain of lemon candy for all of his starving siblings to eat. Later, Princess Bubblegum erases the candy life formula from the Lemongrabs' brains with a literal pencil eraser. Jake asks if she can change their hearts too, make them less selfish like Lemon John became. The immediate crisis ends, the lemon people have food, and the formula is gone. Everything is saved, whoopee! Well, not really. In between All Your Fault and the next time we visit Castle Lemongrab, something happens in private. We only see a brief glimpse in a single scene, but it explains everything about what's coming next. The two Lemongrabs are in a small room with a cardboard box set up. Inside the box is their doll, Lemon Sweets, a tiny version of themselves wearing a sailor outfit sitting in a little chair next to a little bed. It's adorable. And what they're doing is playing house, pretending to be parents to this little doll baby. Lemongrab 2 speaks in a soft, gentle voice.
Oh, little Lemon Sweets, our son. So precious. You've enjoyed sitting in your chair. What would you like to do now?
But Lemongrab 1 immediately contradicts him.
No, he wants to dance.
And he grabs the doll from his brother's hands, making it dance. Lemongrab 2 tries to reason with him. He tries to take the doll back gently. He suggests compromise. But Lemongrab 1 won't let go. They struggle over this tiny doll representing their shared child, their shared control, their shared identity. And the doll falls. Its porcelain head shatters into pieces on the floor. And then Lemongrab 1 screams,
Only one!
And he shoves Lemongrab 2 into his mouth, swallowing him pretty much whole. This scene lasts for maybe a minute, but it's the hinge point. The moment when Lemongrab's need for absolute control becomes more important than connection, more important than love, than compromising, more important than the only relationship that ever even kind of worked for him. And the pattern just remains the same. Punishment first, architecture later. And now, that architecture includes the capacity to literally consume anyone who disagrees, even family, both physically and metaphorically. Some time passes. Castle Lemongrab sends an invitation to Princess Bubblegum for a diplomatic dinner. She's confused, but she arrives with Finn at the castle gates. A gatekeeper checks her passport, squinting at the document. He's clearly struggling to read it, holding it close to his face, examining it with no real comprehension. But he goes through the entire procedure anyway, performing complex security rituals without understanding what he's checking for, kind of like a teen working at the cash register for the first time. This is the first sign that something has fundamentally changed. Once they enter, a lemon child dangles from the ceiling in some fancy clothes, announcing their arrival, but he doesn't get their names right.
Announcing arrival, oh, Princess Bubbaga and little boy!
The elaborate ceremony immediately just falls apart because the person performing it doesn't actually know what he's doing. But then the main event. Lemongrab appears. He's massive now, bloated. His voice has dropped deeper with the added weight. He's clearly been eating a lot. When Lemongrab 2 appears beside him, we see what he's been eating. Half of Lemongrab is gone, including half of his face, just bitten off. His legs are missing, and he is hovering beside his brother on a floating disc, muttering contradictory acceptables to Lemongrab 1's unacceptables. And around every citizen's neck are shock collars. They're escorted to the dining hall. The Lemon children are wearing formal clothes now, not rags, so this is all seemingly very fancy. There are table settings, fancy presentations, musical performances. At first glance, it looks like things really improved. Things are fancier now, like Lemongrab learned how to govern properly. But look closer at what's actually happening. The trumpeters don't stand to perform. They're suspended from the ceiling, dangling while they play. The waiters are permanently hunched over in painful positions. Their backs function as serving trays, and some of the diners can't even feed themselves. Let alone all of the shock collars, things don't seem exactly happy here. Meanwhile, Lemongrab gorges himself. He's served massive portions while everyone else gets scraps just to participate. And then he reaches over and takes food directly from citizens' plates anyway. Lemongrab 2, from his hover disc, sees this and gives some of his own food to the child. It's the first act of mercy we've seen in this castle since All Your Fault, and it's coming from a Lemongrab. Lemongrab 1 notices. They start arguing, screaming,
Unacceptable!
And
Acceptable.
back and forth across the table. While they argue, Princess Bubblegum wanders away from dinner and explores the castle, where the environmental storytelling becomes devastating. The formal dining areas are pristine, but the residential corridors? Visible filth accumulating. Lemon juice dripping from walls, coating surfaces, sticky residue everywhere. I know that feeling, huh? This has all been there so long, it's become part of the architecture. We can assume most rooms have no real interiors, nothing to kind of draw anyone inside, just empty shells, no furniture, no comfort, nothing that would make them livable, it's just an empty castle. These are spaces that were built but never finished. They were never meant for anyone or anything. They're stripped of anything humane. And in one of these rotting spaces, Princess Bubblegum finds Lemonhope, a small child with a harp locked away because his music is too harmonious. Lemongrab despises it. The infrastructure shows you exactly what Lemongrab values: forced spectacle where bodies become props and pain becomes entertainment. The elaborate welcome ceremony, the fancy clothes, the formal table settings, all of it is performance. Theater designed to impress visitors while hiding the mechanical cruelty underneath. Says a lot about society, you know what I mean? When Princess Bubblegum has had enough and decides to free Lemonhope and escape, Lemongrab discovers them and loses control.
I've tried imprisoning! I've tried reconditioning! You leave me no choice! Lemon Gentry! Go forth! Go forth now!
He orders his citizens to attack. And they do, but they apologize while doing it. They don't really want to do it, they're being forced to. It's part of the system that they live in. They pummel Finn while muttering apologies because they basically have no choice. The shock collars ensure obedience. But what Lemongrab couldn't predict is that Lemongrab 2 still has remote control. And somewhere beneath the consumption, beneath the abuse, beneath the fear, Lemongrab 2 learned something Lemongrab 1 never could: empathy for his fellow beings. He releases everyone's shock collars. The Lemon children, finally freed from their collars, form a human ladder, or a lemon ladder. Each person is supporting the other, helping Finn, Princess Bubblegum, and Lemonhope climb over the castle wall to freedom. It's the first time we see the Lemon citizens cooperating for something other than Lemongrab's benefit. The first time we see them help someone escape without any benefit for themselves. After Lemonhope escapes with Princess Bubblegum, she brings him to the Candy Kingdom. She wants to educate him, to teach him how to be a good citizen so that he can eventually go back to his people and become a ruler and free his people from Lemongrab's tyranny. But Lemongrab doesn't want any of that. He doesn't want that responsibility. He wants freedom, so he runs away. And if you want to see more about Lemonhope, we actually have an episode on that, so make sure to check that out here. Meanwhile, back at Castle Lemongrab, the transformation continues. Princess Bubblegum shows Lemonhope a propaganda video from the castle, and Lemongrab appears on screen.
Hello! And keep away from Castle Lemongrab!
He's massive now, even larger than in Too Old. He's calling himself Fat Lemongrab. And the video reveals what the castle has become. Watchtowers now surround the perimeter, spotlights scan the walls constantly, barbed wires line every surface, coiled around the tops of walls, stretched across all of the potential exit points. Citizens are chained together. The castle has transformed from a prison into a fortress. No one is allowed to leave. No one is allowed to enter. Everything is under the absolute maximum control of Lemongrab. And since it's propaganda, it depicts them gleefully throwing Lemonhope out, which is this revision of history since Lemonhope actually left of his own will with their help. One of their fun activities now is harp smashing, destroying the instruments that made beautiful music, the music that Lemongrab hates because it's too harmonious, too sweet. It also shows Lemongrab eating a lemon person who tried to escape. Some slurping sounds, chewing, and then Lemongrab screaming, he has started to consume the escapees. And those who get consumed don't die, they stay alive inside him. A living stomach prison where the consumed remains conscious, trapped in darkness, digested but not dead. The castle's architecture has also completed its evolution, from building to body to totalitarian state. Eventually, after his own journey, of which we describe in our own episode about it, Lemonhope returns and defeats the dictatorship of Lemongrab by causing him to explode. Princess Bubblegum then stitches the pieces from Lemongrab 1 and what was inside him of Lemongrab 2 into one third misshapen being, Lemongrab 3. His body is a patchwork sewn together with visible pink thread, different colored skin sections all merged into a single form. He's Frankenstein's lemon. When we see Lemongrab Castle again, we see something that almost looks like order. Lemongrab 3 sits at the head of a dining table with his citizens. A waiter, who is no longer hunched over, is serving lemon candy as dinner.
Commence dinner.
Everyone eats, and this time they know how. One spoonful, all simultaneously, in perfect unison.
Dinner is concluded.
The citizens respond in unison. They clap twice, perfectly synchronized. No one asks for more, no one's being shocked into compliance. But watch what happens next. The citizens form a chain. They then pass Lemongrab from person to person over their heads like a bucket brigade, carrying him through the castle in an assembly line of bodies. They move him to his window where he surveys his kingdom. Below, more assembly lines. Citizens harvesting lemon johns from trees, others carrying the harvest to machines that separate them, where others smash them with wooden mallets. Others plant new seeds. No longer is there a lack of food in the earldom. Things seem to be relatively under control, if not the best circumstances. And then when Lemongrab 3 says,
Lights out!
every citizen instantly drops down into sleep at the exact same time. Wherever they stood, their bodies just collapse simultaneously as if someone cut all their strings at once. This phase of the castle has become a machine. The citizens have become components. There are no shock collars forcing this compliance, no threat of electrical torture, no propaganda videos, no consumption as punishment. But is it actually better? Are their lives more meaningful? Are they happier? The citizens aren't people living in a castle anymore. They are the castle. They form the infrastructure with their own bodies now. When Lemongrab needs to move, they become his transportation system. When Lemongrab gives commands, they execute them with mechanical precision. Every single thing he wants, he gets. The physical architecture of the building itself hasn't changed much since last time. The reconditioning chamber is presumably still there, though unused, but maybe it's disappeared in the reshuffling of the entire castle. The real architecture now isn't just the physical spaces, it's psychological. The citizens have become so thoroughly conditioned and trapped that they don't need physical external controls anymore. The control is internal, automatic. They've become part of this new lemon society, and that is how they act. Very precisely, very strictly, according to a very certain set of actions, according to what the great leader himself wants. They've just become extensions of Lemongrab's will, like extra hands. And the castle reflects this. There's no warmth, no pictures, no individuality, no life, no plants, nothing beautiful, no life beyond function. While Lemongrab is winding down, citizens place a catcher's mitt on his right hand. Those same mysterious catcher's mitts from You Made Me that were symbols on those pedestals that symbolized his failed attempt to understand normalcy and connection. And now he's at least wearing it. He's not playing ball with anyone just yet, but the lemon people nicely place a little bag of Lemon John candy onto his nightstand, and then they leave. No kiss goodbye? Anyway, Lemongrab lies in bed, staring at the ceiling. There's a mural painted there. It's super old, and it's been there the entire time, seemingly, but it's one of the only ones in the building that we know of. And as Lemongrab stares at it, a piece of it falls out. A hole appears in the painted figure's head, and a centipede-like creature crawls out. Something is wrong. Even in this perfectly efficient system, something is cracked, broken, ugly, out of place. Unacceptable! Lemongrab grabs the seeds and leaves on his lemon camel, curtly shouting goodbye to the guards. He can't stand this. The guards immediately fall asleep after closing the gate. The castle under Lemongrab 3 has achieved what Lemongrab 1 could never accomplish: total control, to the maximum extent he can, without visible cruelty, efficiency without chaos, order without rebellion. But at what cost? The citizens aren't shocked into submission, they're programmed into it. The castle itself isn't a visible prison keeping them in, it's an invisible one, where the bars are built into the citizens' minds. The system isn't maintained through terror, it's maintained through complete psychological conditioning. And we've seen the steps that Lemongrab has gone through in terms of his leadership style in order to get here. Does it get better from here? Or does Lemongrab and the type of person he is and the type of leader he represents, are they completely unable to get past this stage of cruelty? The architecture itself, the building and the structure and the physical spaces tell a story. It's clean-ish, but cold, not homely. It's organized and it's filed correctly. Every drawer has its name, every citizen has its place in the line. But it's empty feeling. It's functional, but it's lifeless. This is not a home. This is a factory floor with robots. And that hole in the ceiling, that hole reveals that even perfect control with utmost precision, everyone eating and sleeping and working all at the same time under his watch, perfect control cannot fix what is broken at the center. There's always going to be an issue with the amount of control that a leader tries to exert on his people, and with an uncaring, sour heart at its center, that leader will never be able to understand its people, never be able to form that loving connection with his citizens. And that hole in the ceiling proves that even absolute efficiency in this type of system can't fill the void of connection that Lemongrab has always suffered from, and seemingly will continue to suffer from into the future. Lemongrab has lost his lemon hope, and there's nothing that he can do from inside his own mind, trapped as he is, to improve the quality of life of himself or his citizens. The most he can do is make things into a factory where everything is on time, everything is precise, and everything follows his every whim. But it turns out that things not following what you want, things being natural, and things having their own autonomy is what really creates connection, and Lemonhope just can't see it. He will never find the love that he could have had if only he had compromised with Lemongrab 2, if only he had tried to understand the plight of his citizens, if only he had a shred of sweetness in his heart. But that hole in the ceiling is fixed in the end, and if you want to know how, watch our complete study on Lemongrab and what he teaches us about neglect. The way the hole is filled might surprise you.